All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice exam series where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're turning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. You meet your friends for brunch the morning after a late night out partying. You weren't planning on ordering anything to drink, but everyone else at the table ordered mimosas, so you decide that you'll order a mimosa as well. Your friends ordering mimosas primarily acts as a what? So we're looking at the behavior of your friends ordering mimosas, and we're looking at it relative to you ordering the mimosas. Because why or what occurred causing you to get a mimosa? Well, we know your friends ordered one, even though previously you weren't planning on ordering anything to drink. So let's think about and remember, what is the difference between a motivating operation and a discriminative stimulus? A motivating operation increases the value of something or decreases the value of something. Essentially, it makes you want or not want something. A discriminative stimulus, or an SD, signals something is available. Now, when you get to this brunch, mimosas are available. Your friends ordering the drinks aren't signaling to you that a drink is available. What happened, though, when they ordered that drink, the value of those mimosas went up. The value of getting a drink went up. So your friends ordering the mimosas acted as a motivating operation. It temporarily changed your behavior. It temporarily made you want that drink more. They did not signal to you that they were or were not available. The waiter or the restaurant or the drink menu would have been the SD. Your friend's ordering simply increased the value and made you want to get a mimosa. They're not a prompt because they came before the SD. The prompt comes after the SD. And it isn't a consequence, right? Because they were an antecedent to you ordering that mimosa. So your friends ordering the mimosa primarily acted as a motivating operation because you then ordered a mimosa as well. A soccer coach is working with the player to improve their penalty kicks. Initially, the coach praises the player for just hitting the ball in the direction of the goal. As the player progresses, the coach only provides praise when the ball hits the upper corners of the goal. Over time, the player consistently improves their aim and accuracy. What dimension of behavior is the coach shaping? Let's start with this. What is shaping? Shaping is reinforcing approximations of behavior to get closer to a final terminal behavior. And when we're shaping, we can shape different things. Now, as a behavior technician, you're primarily thinking about shaping topography. You're changing the look of a behavior. Let's look at what the coach is doing. They're improving penalty kicks. Initially, the coach is praising or reinforcing the approximation of hitting the ball in the direction of the goal. As the player gets better and progresses, now praise is only given when the ball hits the corner of the goal. And then over time, the player is improving their aim and accuracy. So the coach is working to change how kicking the ball looks until they get to their terminal behavior. So if we're shaping how something looks, what are we shaping? Well, we're shaping topography. Topography is how a behavior looks. What would it mean to shape the magnitude of a behavior? Well, magnitude has to do with intensity. In other words, we're talking about something that is big versus small, loud versus quiet, short versus tall. Magnitude has to do with intensity. We're not necessarily changing the magnitude here. What about duration and frequency? Well, those are two units of measure. We're not changing the duration of anything, according to the question, nor are we changing the frequency. Based on our given information, the coach is simply shaping the topography of this behavior. Now, if we had been already to our terminal behavior, let's say that's getting the ball in the net, and then we were shaping magnitude, that would be different. But in this case, we're just shaping, or the coach is shaping, how the behavior looks, which is Lainey arrives at her client's house and notices that the client is acting more shy than usual. The client also has noticeable bruises on both of their arms. Lainey starts to suspect that the bruises may be from some form of physical abuse. What is Lainey's responsibility as a behavior technician in this scenario? Now, remember, we are mandated reporters, which means if we suspect something, we have to report it. With that said, you've got to be very careful and very sure if you believe there's something that needs to be reported. If we have Lainey, who is a behavior technician, and we know she sees or senses something is wrong with the client, and then notices bruises on both of their arms, then of course, Lainey might be right to suspect that there might be physical abuse going on. However, we've got to remember when working with humans, and especially kids, people have accidents, they get hurt. It's not unusual, especially working with younger kids, to have scratches and bumps and bruises and everything else. So just because Lainey notices a change in behavior and notices bruises before she reacts too drastically, what is her responsibility as the technician? In this case, as an ABA professional. A, call the police immediately. Just because there are bruises doesn't mean the police need to be called, especially as the technician. She needs to do something first. Who should she call first? B, ask the client if someone hurt them. Well, you've got to be careful with that, right? Given age, given developmental levels, given a lot of different factors, asking the client if someone hurt them could go down a lot of different paths. C, report findings to their supervisor immediately. This is the most responsible way to approach this situation. As a technician, when you're in a situation like this, where you might suspect something is wrong, it is your responsibility to tell your supervisor immediately. Because who is ultimately responsible for this case? Your supervisor. They need to know this before you do anything drastic, like calling the police or calling an authority. D, document her findings and check again for bruises during the next session. Should she check again? Sure, right? She wants to be sure this is not a pattern. But before any of that, the first thing she has to do as soon as these suspicions pop up is report her findings to the supervisor immediately. They have to know, and then the supervisor is going to direct Lainey on what to do next. A swimmer learns how to do a basic swim stroke for a competition. After several rounds of practice, the swimmer is now able to do a backstroke and a butterfly stroke as well, although the swimmer's coach never explicitly taught those. What does this represent? What do we call it when we have a response that is taught, right? The swimmer learns how to do a basic swim stroke. And then from that response, we have these other responses that appear as well. So from the basic swim stroke, we now have a backstroke, we have a butterfly stroke, and those were never actually taught. So even though the swimmer only learned to do the basic swim stroke, they're now doing these other responses as well. What does that represent? Well, that represents response generalization. Response generalization occurs when you've got a similar response occurring, and then typically without further teaching, more responses tend to occur in the presence of the same stimulus. So the swimmer's in the pool doing basic swim strokes, and now they can do backstrokes and butterfly strokes as well. What about stimulus generalization? Well, stimulus generalization, right? We have multiple stimuli evoking the same response. Here we're talking about multiple responses. So we're not talking about stimulus generalization. What about task chaining? Task chaining has to do with teaching in an order of steps after a task analysis. We're not focused so much on the teaching strategy here, rather on the swimmer generalizing these responses. And then shaping. Again, it's not so much how any of this was taught, because as far as we know, the swimmer only learned the swim stroke. Task chaining and shaping weren't used for backstroke and butterfly stroke because those weren't taught at all. All we know here is the swimmer knew one response and then started engaging in these other responses, which signifies response generalization. You've worked as a behavior technician for a year now and are well respected by your supervising behavior analyst. You're offered the opportunity to take your own clients and develop their treatment plans and perform assessments on your own, even though you're not board certified. What should you do? This is not that uncommon of a situation, unfortunately. You're a technician, you're well respected, you're good at your job. Given wait list and the number of people who need our services, there can be temptation from BCBAs and clinical directors to allow technicians and RBTs to develop treatment plans and take on clients of their own. However, that is not within the competencies or scope of what an RBT is qualified to do. So if you're a technician and you're given the opportunity to get your own clients, develop treatment plans, and perform assessments on your own, this is not something you should be doing. No matter how trusted you are, how responsible you are, by the letter of the law, you're not board certified. You should not be engaging in these responsibilities. So what should you do in this situation? A, accept the position as long as you're comfortable in that role. You would not be remaining ethical if you took this role. You're doing a disservice to your client and to yourself if you take on this role, which is out of your competency and scope. You're not licensed and you're not board certified. So you can't take on this role. B, decline this position as this is outside of your scope of competency. Yes, no matter how, again, good you are, responsible you are, it doesn't matter, right? It's not a reflection on you. It's just keeping everybody protected. You have to be licensed. You have to be board certified to perform this role. C, ask the stakeholders of the clients if they are okay with you taking this role. They might love you too, right? You might have great clients and great stakeholders who trust you, and that's fantastic. End of the day, though, we can't practice outside of our scope. We've got to be certified. We've got to be licensed in order to take on clients and write treatment plans independently. So what should you do? You need to decline a position as this is outside of your scope of competency. Thanks for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. We'll see you soon.